Here are the three biggest winners and three biggest losers in 2025 NFL free agency. Start out with the winners. Number 3, Najee Harris, Los Angeles Chargers. 1 year, $9 million, and no long-term commitment, but a solid contract for a player. Now, Harris's rushing yards have been very similar to the last 3 years. For his rookie 4 years ago, he got a ton of touches, and his yards were inflated for that. But the last 3 years, 1,034 to 1,043, so right in that same area, and average 8.5 touchdowns over his 4 years, but his yards per carry have always been disappointing, 3.8 to 4.1 all 4 years, and that scares a lot of people off, saying he's an ordinary back. Not necessarily. The last 2 years, Harris has had very good broken tackle rate and yards after contact numbers. Last year, 2024, 87th percentile broken tackle rate. Also 63rd percentile yards after contact. It was higher in 2023. So the Pittsburgh offense just didn't seem to optimize him well. The biggest deal for Najee Harris is durability. He has not missed a game despite heavy work in his 4-year career. And I imagine that is the thing that brought Jim Harbaugh his way. So that's it. This is a great free agent signing, because the Greg Roman offense, and we know they did, Mekhi Becton got brought in. They're going to upgrade that line a little bit. The interior line struggled a little bit. The tackles are very good. We know they're going to bring an extra tight end or fullback. They're going to make that running game work. The defense, they really overperformed last year, but I really think that coaching staff is going to continue moving that forward. This is a team that wants to win running the ball and defense. When they had problems with J.K. Dobbins last year and he got hurt, Justin Herbert had to throw a lot more. When we had Dobbins healthy, Herbert wasn't throwing much. Expect him. So Najee Harris is a winner here. He's going to get the ball plenty. And that's why you want to say he's one of the winners in free agency. Number 2 winner, Justin Fields, New York Jets, 2 years, $40 million. He looks in great shape to be the team starter. It wasn't great money, but it's definitely not backup money. That's for sure. It's not starter money either, but given their situation, it looks like Justin Fields is going to be a starter this year and hopefully goes beyond it. So now, last year with the Steelers, Justin Fields struggled. Now, the Steelers, they definitely were careful with him. They weren't designed runs set to get him big yardage. They were safe runs they were using him on. So Fields only ran for 4.76 yards per carry. That was over half a yard less than his career low. And they wanted to limit turnover. So they really gave him a safe game. And then when he had any issues at all, quickly Russell Wilson went healthy from the calf injury, took over. Now, the knock on Fields is this: 44 fumbles and 31 interceptions in 50 career games. That's about 1.5 mistakes per contest. Of course, he didn't lose all those fumbles, but again, mistakes are there. Here's what I expect, though, and why Justin Fields is a fantasy winner in free agency. I do think if you're going to bring in Justin Fields, you can't say we're not using an RPO offense. Justin Fields can't read the entire football field. Everybody knows that by now. But if you go with an RPO offense, you got Breece Hall behind you, you got Garrett Wilson. We saw flashes of success with the Bears in the last year he was there when DJ Moore had 1,300 yards. There were signs of success, but again, the Bears were, a pretty poor organization. The Jets are too, but I think the Jets have a little more to work with here, especially with Breece Hall in the backfield. So I think the RPO offense, which I expect, is one where we can get back to seeing maybe that 1,100 yard season we saw from Fields on the ground in Chicago. Maybe not. That was a record setter, but we definitely could see him in the 900,000 yard range. And for fantasy football, sign us up for that one, because you get him around quarterback 18, 19, and it may go up, but all of a sudden you got yourself a good old quarterback one on your hands. All right, winner number 1 for easy, Davante Adams, Los Angeles Rams, 2 years, $46 million, solid payday. Obviously at his age, I think that's a great payday. The thing with Adams is he played 14 games between the Raiders and the Jets last year. Remember that hamstring injury, which I don't know if he wanted to get traded or it was a real, I don't know. I don't care either, right? He still ends the year with 1,063 yards, again, playing between, 2 bad teams, 8 touchdowns, 85 receptions. He got 141 targets, so he still draws a ton of targets. What I liked about Adams' season were 2 things. First of all, his yards after the catch, 87th percentile, still elite. From week 13 on, Aaron Rodgers started locking on him a little more. He averaged 11 targets, 96 yards, and he averaged a touchdown as well. So he still showed if you get him the ball, he'll do well. He didn't catch many of his targets, 35th percentile, 58% of them. And that's a trend the last 3 years. But I think the trend is flawed, because when he was with the Raiders, it was bad quarterback play. And even last year, Aaron Rodgers, when he was under any pressure, the ball wasn't getting there. So I think that we can excuse that part. Here's the point. He goes to the Rams. And now you're thinking, all right, Sean McVay loves his receivers to block. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, obviously Kupp's not with the team anymore. But so Davante Adams, he's never really been asked to block, and why would he? But McVay is not that guy. Remember, 2021, Odell Beckham play for McVay. You think Odell Beckham was blocking? No. I mean, occasionally everybody chips a block here and there, but Beckham was used as a weapon, and that's what I expected of Davante Adams. Puka Nacua is still the number one. No argument there. But don't think that Sean McVay brought in Davante Adams to not use him. He will be an integral part of the offense, just like Beckham was in 2021 when Cooper Kupp was having the Superman season. So you could see you could have two very, very productive receivers, but they're very different. Beckham was obviously more of a big play guy, where Davante Adams is he's way different. I mean, I call him possession receiver as an insult because he's not that. He could do everything, and that's kind of the point. So he's a great winner there. If you're enjoying videos like this, please hit that like button and subscribe to the RotoWire Fantasy Football channel on YouTube, and you can get a free 2-day trial at RotoWire. You do not need a credit card. Just go to rotowire.com/Jim. Check out all of our content, all the sports. We got rankings, we got articles. If you like it, join the team. If not, it's cool. Just took a look. We're happy you came by and took a look at RotoWire. All right, let's get to the losers in free agency. Number 3, Rico Dowdle. Now with the Carolina Panthers, 1 year, $6.25 million. I knew there wouldn't be a robust market for Rico Dowdle, but I tell you what, he did everything he could to give himself a chance. I mean, Dallas did not have a good offensive line last year, and it got worse the season went on. Dowdle runs for 1,079 yards on 235 carries. Obviously 2 touchdowns, but that offense wasn't scoring, so that's fine. Caught 39 passes, so it could be, it's like guy that can work some on 3 downs. Now, only 6.4 yards per reception, but that said, the team he goes to, Chuba Hubbard, only had 4 yards per reception. So Dowdle could come in and he could see some receiving work. But the whole point is this: Chuba Hubbard has done well for them, and Dowdle could have found a situation where he could have maybe gotten into more of a 1A. I don't think that's the case here. I think he's a loser because Chuba Hubbard played well for them. Dowdle last year, though, 71st percentile yards in for contact, 58% of broken tackle. He was good. He was good. And the end of the season was when Dowdle came on, right? 73 yards or more in 6 of his last 7 games, and all of his 400-yard games from week 13 to 17. But the landing spot, and I get Jonathan Brooks is an issue this year because he had another injury, and who knows if he'll ever be a factor at this point. But there could have been way better landing spots for Rico Dowdle. Realistically, a high-powered offense, and a second running back in that, as opposed to the Panthers. But there is a world where he becomes a receiving back, but this was not a great landing spot. Number 2 loser in free agency, Juwan Johnson. New Orleans Saints, 3 years, $30 million. Why did you do this to us? Juwan Johnson, look, I just needed him to go somewhere to give him a chance. Converted wide receiver. When he is utilized, he is a very, very good seam stretching NFL tight end. But stay in New Orleans, guess what? Last year, career year, 50 catches, 548 yards, 3 touchdowns, 6 targets. Well, guess what? Career year, but not by much. Because in the last 3 years, 2 500-yard seasons. His targets the last 3, 59 to 66. Well, guess what? You're not seeing more targets than that because that's not been the case there. It's probably not changing. He could have gone anywhere else that needed a tight end. I thought he should have gone to Sean Payton. Evan Ingram goes there later, but that would have made Juwan Johnson the player we wanted to see. He could have been a 750, 800-yard tight end in the right situation. Now, free agent loser because he's back to the team where he only averaged 5.5 targets over his last 6 games of 2024. And that's with a team with Chris Olave gone and Rashid Shaheed gone. Not going on for Juwan Johnson. The number 1 loser in free agency, Sam Darnold, Seattle Seahawks. Of course, 3 years, $100 million. He's the winner there, but for fantasy, not so good. So look, last year, I was excited for Sam Darnold. Went to the Vikings. Very good offensive line. Kevin O'Connell schemes quick passes. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. Later in the season, T.J. Hockenson. I thought Darnold's in a good spot last year. Well, he has none of that. He has some Jackson Smith and Jigba, that's great. Doesn't have Kevin O'Connell coaching him, and he doesn't have the Vikings offensive line. And here's something I want you to know. So the numbers for Darnold were great, right? 17 games, 35 touchdowns, 12 picks, but it was still good. It's like 3-1 touchdown interception. Well, there were 7 games that Darnold played when there were teams that could bring pressure. They weren't the greatest, but they could bring pressure. In those 6 games, I think it was 6 games, I should say, 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He was underwater. In the games that teams that couldn't rush, 29 touchdowns and 5 picks. Well, guess what Sam Darnold's going to see this year? Pressure. And that's a problem. When Darnold's under pressure, all quarterbacks do worse. But he was so substantially worse. And that's what he's going to be under here. And we understand how this works. The Clint Kubiak's offense, and I get it with Derek Carr last year, rollouts, play action, it works. Sam Darnold is going to cave in under pressure because teams are going to remember last year, the Detroit game, playoff game against the Rams. Just send the house because Sam Darnold won't adjust. So this is a terrible fit for fantasy. Hopefully Jackson Smith and Jigba gets his 130 catches. I'm shooting that one up. And but other than that, not a good spot for Sam Darnold.